You are born, but you don't cry, because the sound of your cry might be your death sentence. In Sparta, being born isn't a gift. It's a test, a judgment without words. Without a second chance, two figures approach. Men with hard eyes, trained to decide who deserves to live and who doesn't. One holds a rope wrapped around his arm, a symbol of the end. The other, a wooden tablet with your name, or rather, a space reserved for it. If you show any sign of imperfection, a crooked finger, a louder cry, a smaller than average head, an unusual skin tone, a hesitant breath, they won't call a doctor. They won't tell your mother. They simply decide, without mercy, without hesitation, and you vanish. Some say the discarded were thrown off Mount Taygetus, a place no one returns from. Others say they were abandoned in the mountains to be devoured by wild animals or simply forgotten, left to freeze in the wind until their final breath. The truth? No one goes down the mountain to check. No one looks for them. No one buries them. Not even your mother, because in Sparta, pain is trained to be swallowed. And love? Love doesn't survive where discipline reigns. In Sparta, emotion was a risk. To feel too much was a sign of weakness, and weakness was punished with the cruelest silence, indifference. You don't mourn the death of a baby. You celebrate the cleansing of the bloodline. But let's say you pass the first test. You're not weak, deformed, sick, or too sensitive. Congratulations, you've earned the right to fight for your life. Until age 7, you live under your family's roof, but don't be fooled. There's no affection, no hugs, no bedtime stories. You don't grow up hearing that you're special. You grow up being told you're replaceable. That honor comes before happiness, and your only mission is to be ready for war, even if the war never comes. At 7, you lose what's left of your childhood. You are taken from home, without warning, without explanation. Your father doesn't hold your hand. Your mother doesn't cry. They just watch. Because this is the path of every Spartan boy. You're sent to the Agoge, not a school, a war camp disguised as training, a soldier factory that molds bones, flesh, and mind. There, you have no bed, no comfort, no comfort. You sleep on the ground. Hunger is constant. Fear, ignored. Your teacher? He has no books. He has a whip, and eyes trained to spot weakness from miles away. You learn to fight, but without swords, to hit without protection, to run on an empty stomach, to endure with no one to lean on. You learn that pain is just noise, that tears are forbiddance, that hunger is an excuse, that fear is an illusion. And if you feel, you shut up, you swallow it, you suffocate it. If you cry, no one listens. If you fall, no one helps you up. And if you rise, it's for yourself. Because in Sparta, to fall is to fail. And failure is unacceptable. There is no forgiveness for hesitation, no mercy for doubt. You have no friends. Trust is dangerous. Every Spartan is your disguised rival. If you stumble, someone will report it. If you slip, someone will punish you. Surveillance is constant. You are never alone, but always lonely. The Agoge doesn't reward intelligence. It doesn't nurture empathy. It doesn't value compassion. It separates the strong from the weak, the ruthless from the sensitive, the relentless from the human. And when you try to survive by stealing some bread, secretly, you're not punished for the theft. You're punished for being caught. The beating is public, harsh, exemplary. To remind everyone, those who fail, bleed. Those who hesitate, die. By age 12, your body no longer looks like a child's. It's marked, not with ink, but with scars. Each one a sign of a mistake, a hesitation, a moment where you almost were human. You don't learn poetry. You don't learn philosophy. You learn to kill. And then at 15 comes the final test. Not a war, not a tournament, a hunt. Called the Krypteia. You must kill. A slave. Someone who can't defend themselves. Someone who poses no threat. Someone who perhaps would help you if the roles were reversed. The kill must be silent. It must be at night. No witnesses. No honor. Just blood. Cold. If you hesitate, you die. If you succeed, you're accepted. That's how you enter the elite. But what if that slave were your father, your brother, your son? How many lives were taken without names, without stories, without guilt? How many young Spartans became murderers? Not because they wanted to, but because it was the only way to survive. And the cruelest part, after you kill, you're not free. You're responsible for the blood, for the secret, for maintaining the fear. And the world? The world applauds Sparta. It repeats words like courage, honor, bravery. It speaks of invincible warriors, of soldiers who fought to the death at Thermopylae. But no one talks about the boys who vanished in the mountains, who froze to death, who screamed for help and were ignored, who bled in silence. Sparta won many wars, but the war it loved winning the most was against its own humanity. Now, answer me honestly. Would you have survived the Agoge? Would you have endured the cold, the beatings, the hunger? Would you have killed just to belong? Or would you have been just another name erased from the tablet? But this is only half the story, because across the sea, another civilization was rising. Big, powerful, advanced. Rome, where children were seen as currency, where newborns were thrown to pigs, if unwanted, where boys and girls were sold as living toys to the rich to fulfill their whims. If you thought Sparta was cruel, wait until you see what Rome did. Get ready, because the next video will show you the darkest side of the empire the world still idolizes.